These ladies are hot. They're so very hot.
So much stage till I saw niggas and they touch.
Hi, welcome back to Katie Can't Read. I'm Katie, I can read, and we're gonna get a little controversial. I'm gonna hit you with some controversy. But this is something I feel passionate about. And like everyone else, I have not stopped thinking about Shadow and Bone lately. It's a combined effort between both the trailer and all the news we're getting about the show and that hype, and the fact that I am one of the hosts of the GRISHAVERSE read-along, which has been the most fun I've ever had on BookTube. Like, I will be definitely wanting to do more read-alongs someday. But because of this, I have ended up on Shadow and Bone TikTok.
All you ever want to do is play Fortnite. You never pay attention to me anymore. It's like, it's like I'm not even there.
Arby's.
And every day I go on there and all I see is Mal slander. I get like 15 Mal slander TikToks in a row, but I keep liking other Shadow and Bone TikToks, so I can't get out of it because I feel like so much of being a Shadow and Bone fan is that it's like a thing that everyone hates Mal, but I don't. I don't hate Mal. Like, I am going to confess something to you right now. I think Mal is a really cool character with a really cool character arc, and he was the only reasonable person to have ended up with Alina. Am I gonna break into this? Yes, I have prepared a script today. Katie scripting her videos? What? I know. So I've been a Mal fan. I've been a fan of his character since I read the books for the first time in the summer of 2020 before I made this channel. I so vividly remember not looking at fan art for like the entire series because I didn't want to be spoiled. And then I got to the end of Ruin and Rising and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go look at fan art and see all the really cute Mal and Alina fan art. And I was cruelly disappointed. Like, rudely hurt, slapped in the face. It was a horrible moment for me where I went, I'm wrong? I'm wrong? And I was like, did I read the same trilogy as everyone? Because I don't see this at all. So today I'm going to just like break down all of the key things that the people commonly say about Mal, and then I'm going to just hardcore defend him. I'm prepared for this. I am prepared for this. Every yellow tab, if you can see, every yellow tab is a moment that Mal does something that makes me root for him and that makes him. Every purple tab is every time the darkling makes me want to kill him. So like there's other tabs too, and I don't want to go into them right now. But I did this on my recent reread of the trilogy that we did for the Grisha read-along, and I think that Mal is such a strong character, and I think that I get it. No, I don't. I don't get it at all. So before we dive into everything, I would first like to say, number one, this is not meant to offend you. If you simp for the darkling, please know that I don't trust you, but yeah, that's it. But I don't mean to offend you. Like, I don't trust you, but I don't mean to offend you. Not Ben Barnes' darkling, though. Let me preface this. Only book darkling do I not trust you. Ben Barnes' darkling is like a gray area. Like, doesn't bother me. Secondly, I will be spoiling pretty much the entire Grisha trilogy. So if you have not read it yet, now would be a good time to check off, say goodbye, and then come back once you've read these and have formed your own opinion on Mal. And if you agree with me, please call me. I need more Mal supporting friends. I literally only have like 3 Mal supporting friends, and it's fine. I would also just like to say, before everyone who is not sticking around because I don't want to get spoiled leaves, that I don't think Mal is my book boyfriend. I just want to say that, like, I'm not simping on Mal. I take it back. I am simping on TV show Mal. hands down in love with Archie. However, like, Book Mal is not like my book boyfriend. He is Alina's book boyfriend. And that's what I'm really going to be trying to dismantle today. Trying to remind everyone that Alina is not your self-insert. Cool. Let's dive straight into this. I have prepared 5 different like major critiques people have of Mal, and I am going to tell you why they're wrong with my extensive knowledge and tabbing of Mal's character. That was a really long intro. Let's get started, shall we? The number one criticism that Mal receives from people is that Mal only loved Alina after she got her powers. And no, not at all. He straight up loved her the whole time. He didn't know she had powers when she was gone. For sure, he didn't realize he loved her before she got taken. Like, that's canon that he did not realize. And that's an easy mistake. As someone who regularly is like, is that platonic attraction or romantic attraction? I get it. I feel for Mal, and the idea of you don't know what you have until it's gone, I think, is a really powerful tool in a book and in just life, because how many times have you not known what you had until you lost it? So he definitely didn't know that he loved her until she was gone, but he didn't know she had powers until he showed up at the Little Palace at the very end of the book, at the 70% mark. He didn't even know she had powers. He thought she was straight up abducted and tortured. He was so stressed out for her. And when he does his love confession in the snow, by the way, and he says all he wanted to do while she was gone was tell her about his day. He constantly found himself going to her tent and standing outside waiting to talk to her, only to realize she wasn't there. And that is some peak childhood friends to lovers yearning right there that I am obsessed with. He loved her the whole time. He really did. And he just didn't realize because he's 18. He's an 18-year-old boy, and she was there the whole time. How did he know the difference between when his platonic feelings as kids transitioned into romantic feelings? They were both pining, and they just didn't realize because they're idiots. Okay, so here's the thing that really, I'm like, how do you stand on this point when this is the thing that his main action in this book is that after Alina is gone, he immediately jumps on a mission in the hope and chance that he can see her again. He does not know this mission. He does not know she has powers. But the second it's offered that they need trackers to find the stag, he's in it. He's on it. He knows it's a suicide mission, and yet he goes for it because he knows it might be his only chance to see Alina again. And then he finally does see her again, and she escapes that night, right? And what does he do? He deserts the first army, which I don't know if you remember your Shadow and Bone, crime ranking. That's, pretty up there in terms of, Rovkin crime. So he commits, a huge crime of deserting the first army to help her escape and live and find this stag so the power doesn't fall in the wrong hands. And I think that is some major ride or die hero stuff. Mal loved Alina the whole time, and him not realizing until she was gone is just a classic case of you don't know what you have until you've lost it. And I think that's a really good setup for what their relationship does become. Argument number 2. Mal hated Alina's power and stifled her potential. No, not even a little bit. First of all, let's please acknowledge that Alina Starkov is an unreliable narrator. The whole book is through first person limited, and so we only see what she sees. And she's a 17-year-old girl that just wants her childhood crush to love her back. And so, of course, every single thing gets blown out of proportion. I personally, from how I've analyzed the text, do not think for one single second Mal hated her powers. I think he hated what the powers did to her. Let me explain, because that sounds really bad. So essentially, Alina finds out she has these cosmic powers of legend, and he's actually really supportive of that at the beginning. But once the power starts to corrupt her and start to push her down a path that is very similar to that of the Darkling, who at this point is trying to kill them and trying to take over Ravka because he's a genocidal maniac, is terrifying. Like, I sympathize with him so bad throughout this book because he's watching his friend slowly dissolve into this lust and thirst for so much unchecked power that he can't stop her, because every time he tries to be like, hey, you don't need 3 amplifiers, she takes it as, you don't like my powers? He's like, I do, but you don't, like, no, Grisha has 3 powers. What's that quote? What is infinite? That and a blank and the greed of men. That is literally Alina throughout the second 2 books. She gets the second amplifier, and then she goes insane with needing that 3rd one. And so if you're watching someone you love slowly descend into madness and starting to look like the person you all hate, it starts to really eat at him. And I sympathize. And let's just say he hated Alina's power. Let's say it. If he hated Alina's power, why did Mal continue to hunt for amplifiers? He could have left. If he really hated her power that much, he could have left. And if the Mal that people are trying to tell me they read really did exist, then he probably should have left and would have left. But he didn't. He helped her find all 3, even when it drove him insane, even when he didn't want to. When he was at the little palace in the middle end of Siege and Storm and he was hating it, he stayed because he believed in Alina and he loved her. And that, at the key root of everything, is the key to Mal as a character. He loved Alina in a way that none of the other characters did or could even fathom doing. And I think that is what makes Mal stand apart from the rest of the love interests specifically. Counter argument number 3, Mal has no personality. No. Just because he's not your standard over-the-top book boyfriend, heartthrob type, like, I don't know, Nikolai Lantsov or the Darkling, who are these larger-than-life characters, Mal stands as more of a normal type guy. And I think that's really poignant, and it's a very fun contrast to see the poles of Alina. There's this, like, crazy, scary, sensual, dark wizard guy who's pulling her one way, a cocky, arrogant, funny Disney prince, and her grounded, down-to-earth best friend. So, like, I think you just gotta really think about Alina at this point. And let's be real, if you, personally for me, if I met either Nikolai or the Darkling in person, I would hate them. Like, they would be too much for me. I would not get along with them. But I probably would get along with Mal. He's down to earth. He has, like, a normal, healthy amount of human charm, and he's pretty darn funny. There's a ton of jokes he says in this book that I was, like, tabbing it up. He's hilarious. He can go toe-to-toe with Nikolai and, like, hold his own. What other characters can do that? And yet you say he has no personality? Just because his personality isn't a peacock doesn't mean he doesn't have one. Also, throughout the entire book, it is literally in there that he is handsome. And man, did the casting directors do a good job. But, like, he is a well-rounded character with a very compelling character arc of like willing to help, to struggling, to accepting his death. Like, what the heck? I will agree that he is a dick in the middle to end of Siege and Storm. A little bit in the beginning of Ruin Rising. I agree. He's literally like a douche for a little bit. But I also deeply sympathize. He's in a place where he doesn't belong. He's the only non-Grisha in like the second 2 books. He is out of his element, he's surrounded by strangers, and he's stuck saving the world, which he never wanted to do. He never signed up for this. Well, neither did Alina. But like Alina has like the chosen one pressure. Mal is there because he loves her. I would totally crumble under the pressure of trying to help save the world when it's not my place, when I just want to be a tracker in the army because it's what I'm good at. I sympathize so hard with him. Granted, he was a dick and I think he could have reined it down, but at the same time I sympathize too because he's an 18-year-old boy. Have you met an 18-year-old boy recently? They're all douches. They all don't know what's going on and they all just get caught up in themselves. And I think too, the perspective we need to have is how young Mal and Alina are in comparison to the Darkling and Nikolai. Commonly, I feel like people think Nikolai is younger than he is, but he's canonically early 20s. 17 to about 22 is a huge age range, and so is 18 to 22. Like, even though you think, oh, that's the same sort of wheelhouse, there's a lot of life that happens there, and Nikolai has gone off and done a lot of big things in that time, so he's feeling pretty confident in himself. He has a good sense of self. Mal is struggling with his sense of self because he's finally starting to find a sense of self in the First Army, but then he gets sent to the Little Palace and loses all of that because suddenly he's just the one non-Grisha. He's the odd man out. Sure, he's a good tracker, but that's all he can do. He's a palace guard now, which he never wanted to do. So I sympathize with him. I don't necessarily agree, but I sympathize with him. And I definitely sympathize with him more than I do with the Darkling gaslighting and sexually assaulting Alina multiple times in this series. Let's talk about I Am Become a Blade. So this is a huge like meme in the GRISHAVERSE fan base. And like, yeah, it's a funny phrase. It's a funny phrase, but I'm here to defend it. Absolutely. I've never had a problem with this quote. I actually thought it was really cool the first time I read it. And even just digging into it, even if you're like, that's a stupid tattoo, he's 18. As I just said, every person gets a crappy tattoo when they're 18. Don't get tattoos when you're 18. They suck. That's why I don't have a tattoo, because if I got one when I was 18, it would 100% be a Star Wars quote. Like, do I want that forever? Okay, maybe. But like, no one gets good tattoos at 18. No one. So let's just take a second. But I actually think it's a really good tattoo. And let me tell you why. First of all, it's a very strong metaphor for what Mal means in this book, in Ruin and Rising specifically. What he means, what he is to Alina in a story metaphor kind of way. What he alludes to in this story. He literally is her sword throughout this final book. And she doesn't realize that, but like at the end when he finds out he is the amplifier, that tattoo feels like badass foreshadowing. It's like, oh my god, he is the weapon. And Alina needs his help to harness the power and to reach her full potential. Back to him stifling her potential. He never stifled her potential. He helped her reach her true potential. The potential she wanted. We'll talk about Alina in my next point. Yeah, the phrasing's funny of I Am Become a Blade. Do you know why? Because it's in ancient Ravkin. That'd be like if I got a tattoo of a Shakespeare quote. Like, it doesn't make perfect sense when I read it word for word, like it was. If Leigh Bardugo wanted that quote to be more grammatically correct, she could have easily done that. But she chose to make it weird to show how old the quote is, to show how deep the foreshadowing is. And like, Leigh Bardugo, your brain. And it's a really important moment for him and Alina. That is a moment when she sees his tattoo and it's a huge sun with I am become a blade in ancient Ravkin, which looks a little bit like, Ravkin doesn't look like I am become a blade. It looks a little bit like this. That's the Lives of Saints in ancient Ravkin. Anyway, so it looks cool. It looks cool, and it's him officially kind of saying, I am committing myself to this team full time. I am done being a douche. I'm done with my angsty phase, and I'm committing myself full time to you, your quest, and to this country. And I think it's a really powerful moment. And my final point is mostly about Alina. The argument I hear a lot is, but the Darkling and Nikolai were better for her. No. And here's why. Firstly, the Darkling only cared about her power. He could not care less if she was not powerful. If she had never had powers and fallen into his hands, he would have never even noticed her in any crowd ever. Honestly, if the Sun Summoner was like a 40-year-old man, he probably would have seduced him too. He is just crazy for power. And Nikolai didn't love her. In King of Scars, it is mentioned that he did come to love her, but at the beginning, it's not about that. It's a political line that he wants to take to align the first and second armies into one big army. And it's just for him a political thing. And that's not what Alina wants. Alina does not want to be queen, and she also doesn't want to be a dark Empress Darkling wife. That's not what she wants for herself. She wants to be simple. One of my favorite quotes in Ruin and Rising is when she says, there were old wants too, to be loved for who I was, not for what I could do, to lie in a meadow with a boy's arms around me and watch the wind move the clouds. But those dreams belong to a girl, not the Sun Summoner, and not to a saint. So she gets thrust into this incredible position that she doesn't want. And I know that like when we read the Shadow and Bone trilogy and it's in the first person, you immediately put yourself into the narrative. It feels very self-inserty. But at the end of the day, Alina is her own character. And her decision is so strong. And I feel like Nikolai and the Darkling never would have actually appreciated her. Ever. In any form of the word, they never would have appreciated her. Plus, Nikolai and Alina are totally team bromance. Like, they are just besties for the resties. Because, like, Nikolai and, like, his future love interest, which I'm not gonna say because I said only Shadow and Bone spoilers. But, like, that's superior. Also, if Nikolai was off the table, then, like, who would be our Shadow and Bone reader boyfriend? How would we manage? I mean, the Darkling, but, like, I can't deal. I personally can never forgive the Darkling for what he did to Genya. I just can't do it. Every time I remember what he did, I can't do it. I cannot forgive him for that. That is such, like, the biggest red flag for me, and I can't handle it. Sure, we can all handle a little genocide and gaslighting, but I can't handle handing any girl. I can't handle handing any person over to an abuser and then not helping them out of it. He lost my respect. And I just want to say really fast, you can ship yourself with the Darkling and Nikolai all you want, and I will only judge you a little bit if you're shipping yourself with the Darkling. Like, I can't agree with it, but, like, you do you. But also, like, but, like, I won't judge you all you want. It's when people start shipping Alina with them that it starts to irk me a little bit because they're such bad choices for her. They don't love her. They love what she can do or what she can do politically. That is all they care about. And I think she, as a character, deserves someone who sees her as a person. And that's what Mal does. Throughout the entire book, he's the whole series, he's the only one that sees through her power and sees her and sees what it's doing to her and what the society and the pressure is doing to her. He does not see a summoner and a saint. He just sees Alina. So I'm going to do a really quick wrap up of this. Please leave comments if you agree or disagree with me, but don't give me too much cyberbullying, mouse slander. I can only handle so much. I do think if I could truly have my way, Alina would have ended up with Zoya, but that's just me wanting everything to be a little bit gayer. I would just like to say as a closing thought, there are many more areas to criticize the Darkling throughout this book than there are to criticize Mal. And no one does it. But I'm very inclined to. If you would like a video of me criticizing the Darkling, hit me up. But we should be allowed to criticize all the characters just like we should every book ever. I'm not saying your criticisms are invalid. I'm just showing you my perspective on them because I feel like multiple perspectives are really fun and good. And I just wanted to defend Mal because I don't see anyone else doing it, and I kind of just need more people. I hope this video finds its crowd and people who are like, I'm Team Mal, find me and we can just agree. Like, we can just live in harmony. As fire bombs crash around us, we can hold hands in the sunshine. And I just wanted to give people the platform they wanted to give Mal some credit. This is a Mal safe space. When I first read the books and there was no Mal praise, I was like, oh no, I'm alone. And I felt really like I wasn't allowed to be a part of the fan base. So I am giving you your ticket. I will not gatekeep you here. That is all. Please join the GRISHAVERSE read along. I have some very in-depth thoughts on the difference between Kaz Brecker and the Darkling, which I might make a video after I reread Six of Crows this weekend. So maybe that'll happen. I really like to do character analysis like this, and I can't believe it has taken me so long to do it, but I need to wrap this up because this video is going to be really long. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment. Do you like this kind of content? Should I make more? I'm willing. I will see you in the next chapter. Bye!